What if I told you one of America's most radioactive-looking drinks did not begin as gamer fuel, Taco Bell fuel, or a neon green symbol of questionable life choices, but as a humble little mixer for whiskey? Today we are talking about Mountain Dew, the citrus soda that somehow went from Appalachian slang and backyard bootleg energy to gas stations, video games, extreme sports, Baja Blast, and one of the loudest drink identities in America. And the weirdest thing about Mountain Dew is that it does not really behave like a normal soda. Coca-Cola feels classic, Pepsi feels mainstream, Dr. Pepper feels mysterious, Sprite feels clean. Mountain Dew feels like someone bottled caffeine, sugar, gasoline-colored confidence, and a dare. It is the drink that looks like it should glow in the dark, tastes like citrus got into a fight with electricity, and somehow became a personality. But before Mountain Dew was connected to gamers, skateboards, convenience stores, limited flavors, and Taco Bell combo meals, it had a much stranger beginning. The phrase Mountain Dew was old slang for moonshine, homemade liquor, the kind of backwoods drink that belonged more to jokes, hills, and local legend than polished corporate branding. That is already a strange place for a soda to start, because most soft drinks try to sound refreshing, pure, elegant, or family-friendly. Mountain Dew sounded like something your uncle might hide in a jar. The drink itself was first developed by Barney and Allie Hartman, two brothers from Tennessee, who were looking for a mixer that worked well with whiskey. That means Mountain Dew did not begin as a children's soda, a sports drink, or a vending machine classic. It began as a practical solution for adults who wanted something to mix into liquor. That origin alone explains a lot. Mountain Dew has always carried a little bit of bad decision energy. Even when it became a regular soda, it never fully lost that feeling of being slightly wilder than the other bottles in the cooler. Early Mountain Dew was not the neon beast most people know today. It was more like a regional citrus soda, a local product trying to stand out in a crowded soft drink world. And in mid-century America, soft drinks were already serious business. Coca-Cola was everywhere. Pepsi was fighting hard. 7-Up and other lemon-lime sodas had their place. If you wanted a new soda to survive, you needed more than bubbles. You needed a story, a flavor, a label, a joke, a reason for people to remember you. Mountain Dew leaned into the mountain identity. The early branding used hillbilly-style imagery, country jokes, and a rough, cartoonish version of rural America. By today's standards, some of that branding looks extremely strange, but at the time it gave Mountain Dew something most sodas did not have: a character. It was not trying to be polished, it was trying to be rowdy. It was not saying, "Please enjoy this refined beverage." It was saying, "This stuff came from the hills, and it might cause trouble." That made Mountain Dew different before the flavor even hit your mouth. Then the formula and the business changed. The drink was developed further, the flavor became sharper and more recognizable, and eventually Pepsi acquired Mountain Dew in the 1960s. That is when the local oddball started getting the kind of distribution and marketing power that could turn a regional drink into a national brand. But here is the important part. Pepsi did not just buy a citrus soda. It bought an attitude waiting to be modernized. Mountain Dew already had a wild name. It already had rural mischief baked into the brand. The challenge was figuring out how to take that old hillbilly energy and translate it for new generations. And that is exactly what happened. Over time, Mountain Dew moved away from the old mountain cartoon world and became something faster, louder, and younger. The rough country joke turned into adrenaline. The backwoods mixer became the drink of speed, risk, stunts, and youth culture. By the 1990s, Mountain Dew had found one of the most important slogans in soda history: "Do the Dew." That phrase worked because it barely meant anything, and somehow meant everything. It did not tell you the drink was natural. It did not tell you the drink was sophisticated. It did not even really explain the product. It just sounded like a challenge. Do the Dew. Jump the thing. Skate the ramp. Grab the bottle. Stay up later. Be louder. Make the choice your responsible self would not make. Mountain Dew became tied to extreme sports, snowboarding, skateboarding, BMX, motocross, and the general idea that soda could be less about refreshment and more about identity. That was a huge shift. Most sodas sell taste, nostalgia, or happiness. Mountain Dew sold motion. It sold the idea that drinking it made you part of something faster and less careful. Of course, no soda actually turns you into an extreme athlete, but advertising does not need to be literal. It needs to give people a feeling. Mountain Dew gave people the feeling of speed, caffeine, risk, and a little rebellion. The color helped too. Mountain Dew is not subtle. That yellow-green color is one of the most recognizable things in the drink aisle. It looks artificial in a way that almost becomes honest. Nobody looks at Mountain Dew and thinks, "Ah yes, the gentle taste of a mountain stream." It looks like a warning light. It looks like a potion. It looks like something a cartoon villain would drink before attempting a stunt. And that visual identity became one of the brand's biggest strengths. In a cooler full of red, blue, brown, and clear drinks, Mountain Dew looked like it was trying to escape the bottle. Then came the flavor expansion. For a long time, Mountain Dew was Mountain Dew. But eventually the brand realized something powerful. If your audience already likes loud, strange, high-energy flavor, they might like even more versions of it. Mountain Dew Code Red arrived in the early 2000s and proved the brand could successfully mutate. Cherry Mountain Dew was not just a new flavor. It was a signal that Mountain Dew could become a whole universe. Suddenly, the brand was not locked into one citrus identity. It could be red, blue, purple, tropical, icy, spicy, sour, limited, seasonal, and absurd. Mountain Dew became less like a soda and more like a flavor laboratory. And that fits perfectly with modern American snack culture. Americans love limited editions because they make ordinary products feel like events. A new flavor turns a convenience store run into a tiny treasure hunt. People buy it because it might disappear. They post about it because it looks weird. They argue about it because the internet loves ranking things that nobody technically needs. Mountain Dew understood that. The brand kept feeding the machine with new flavors, contests, exclusives, and names that sounded like they belonged in a video game menu. And then came one of the smartest fast food partnerships in drink history, Baja Blast. Taco Bell and Mountain Dew were already weirdly compatible. Both brands live in that late-night, young, slightly chaotic space where people make food choices that feel brilliant at midnight. Baja Blast launched as a Taco Bell exclusive, and it did something very clever. It made a fountain drink feel special. Usually, a soda at a fast food restaurant is just the thing you get next to the meal. Baja Blast became part of the reason people went to Taco Bell. It was tropical, bright, electric blue-green, and just different enough to feel like a secret club drink. If regular Mountain Dew was mountain energy, Baja Blast was vacation energy after midnight. It matched Taco Bell perfectly because Taco Bell is not really selling Mexican food in the traditional sense. It is selling Americanized late-night flavor architecture. Crunchy shells, melted cheese, sauce packets, weird combinations, limited items, and food that sounds like it was invented by hungry teenagers with corporate approval. Baja Blast fit that world like it had always belonged there. It was not just a drink. It was part of the Taco Bell ritual. And when people love a fast food ritual, it becomes nostalgia very quickly. That is why Baja Blast became so powerful. People associated it with specific moments. After school, after work, late at night, road trips, drive-thrus, college hunger, cheap meals, and that very specific feeling of holding a giant cup filled with something blue-green and irresponsible. Eventually, Baja Blast became bigger than the fountain. Bottled releases, limited runs, seasonal returns, and flavor variations turned it into a cult object. Mountain Dew had once been a whiskey mixer. Now, one of its most beloved forms was a Taco Bell icon. That is a wild American journey. But Mountain Dew did not stop there. It also became deeply connected to gaming culture. This makes sense because Mountain Dew and video games share the same emotional territory: energy, late nights, competition, focus, bright colors, and the promise that sleep can wait. For years, Mountain Dew leaned into gaming promotions, codes, limited cans, partnerships, and the idea that the drink belonged next to a controller, a headset, and a bag of chips. Mountain Dew Game Fuel made that connection explicit. The name itself is almost too perfect. It says the quiet part out loud. This is not a beverage. This is fuel for staying in the match. Again, that is branding genius because it turns drinking soda into part of the activity. You are not just thirsty. You are preparing. You are loading up. You are choosing your build, and apparently your build includes a citrus soda with enough color to look dangerous. Of course, this is where the story gets uncomfortable, because Mountain Dew is also a perfect example of how American food and drink companies sell intensity. It is sweet. It has caffeine. It has bold branding. It has a color you can recognize from across the room. It has flavors that encourage collecting and comparing. It has partnerships with fast food, gaming, sports, and youth culture. That is not accidental. Mountain Dew is engineered as both a drink and an identity object. People do not just say they drink soda. They say they drink Mountain Dew, like it tells you something about them. And often, it does. Mountain Dew became associated with people who want the louder option, not the quiet cola, not the polite sparkling water, not the adult drink pretending to be wellness. Mountain Dew says, we are doing sugar, caffeine, color, and chaos, and we are not apologizing for it. That honesty is part of why it lasts. In a world where many drinks try to sound clean, botanical, functional, mindful, organic, balanced, and mature, Mountain Dew stays aggressively immature in the most commercially successful way possible. It does not whisper. It shouts from the cooler. It is not trying to convince you it came from a farmer's market. It is trying to convince you that whatever you are about to do would be better with more voltage. And maybe that is why Mountain Dew keeps reinventing itself without losing its core. The hillbilly moonshine joke became a citrus soda. The citrus soda became an extreme sports drink. The extreme sports drink became a gaming drink. The gaming drink became a Taco Bell cult favorite. The Taco Bell cult favorite became a limited edition flavor machine. Every version is different, but the emotional message is the same. This is not the careful choice. This is the fun one. That is the real, weird history of Mountain Dew. It is not just about soda. It is about how America turns drinks into identities. It is about how a whiskey mixer became a youth culture symbol. It is about how a mountain joke became a national brand. It is about how caffeine, sugar, color, and marketing can turn a bottle into a lifestyle. And it is about how one drink managed to move from moonshine slang to Taco Bell cups to gaming setups without ever becoming normal. Mountain Dew is not elegant. It is not subtle. It is not trying to be respectable. It is proof that in America, a drink can become legendary by being louder, greener, sweeter, stranger, and more committed to bad ideas than almost anything else in the cooler.